If this year has taught us anything, we've learned that this setback didn't end our story. Really, it introduced us to parts of ourselves that we would have never met otherwise. We are still in it, still healing, and still learning. But we for sure know this, that you don't have to see the whole staircase to take the next step. And if you are walking into or through your own hard chapter, whether you're the patient or the person holding your hand through it, we hope this conversation helps you believe that there is more ahead of you than you can see right now. If you're just meeting us for the first time, my name is Paul.
And I'm his husband, Wesley.
And last year, in February of 2025, I underwent an emergency brain surgery to remove 2 tumors that were blocking my cerebrospinal fluid. My doctors said, after the fact, don't take it lightly. You may not be here, or you may not have been here if we didn't get those tumors out. So it's been a year, and we just wanted to reflect not only for us, but for people out there who might be going through something similar, and for the spouses and family members in their lives. We created a set of prompts that will help guide our conversation, and it may answer questions or thoughts that you might be having. So here we go. Wesley, what do you remember most clearly about the days leading up to surgery?
Like what actually happened?
Don't overthink it. Just what sticks out to you of that week leading up to the surgery? Like what emotions or feelings bubble up if you think back?
Like, where do I start? Like, you going to the doctor and getting an MRI, and even like something as small as like having a call with my boss to let her know like what potentially could be happening was like really, really hard to actually do, because it was like confronting this terrifying possibility. And I remember that sticking out. I remember having lunch with like you and your mom after you went to the doctor, and it just felt like we were on like this surreal, like borrowed time. Like we were just in this like weird limbo world, because I don't know, I just felt like there was like this pit in my stomach, and maybe I felt like it was in all of our stomachs. Like we knew something was there, and it was brewing, and then like a couple days later you had the MRI, and literally the next morning it was just like the rug got pulled out from under us, and then it was just like numbness and surreal, but also like kind of this survival moment of like you just have to put one foot in front of the other and just breathe and move. I don't know, like it was scary.
For context, for about 4 to 6 weeks on and off, I was dealing with what I thought was vertigo or residual altitude sickness, or just something, because my balance was off. I was vomiting violently on and off. And I found this out later, but my mom and Wesley were having these conversations on the side, and for her, she had been through brain tumors and surgery and von Hippel-Lindau, which my dad had, my brother has. They both went through brain surgeries, but it had been about 12 years since my brother went through something. So I thought I was in the clear, and I was so focused that this is not the thing that is going to change my life drastically. This is not a brain tumor. It's not all the things that I don't want. And behind the scenes, for my mom and for Wesley, I feel like they were more honest about it with themselves, and I was being more hopeful and avoiding it. And I think they knew that this was going to add up to a brain tumor.
Maybe it could have been clarity too. We just had a different perspective. Like we were watching this from a different angle.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you were avoiding letting your mind believe it, or if you actually didn't actually think it was even a realm of possibilities. But like from our perspective, it was like obvious, like we're pretty sure this is what it is. It's too many things to be a coincidence.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you recall the week leading up to surgery?
The things that stick out, I remember we were actually getting ready to go to our friend Catalina's birthday party. It must have been literally a week to the day of the surgery, right? A week before that. And we had both gotten ready. I wasn't feeling good that week already. And
Because of what you thought was vertigo.
yeah, and imbalance, feeling queasy. And I remember making a game time decision because it was just down the street. And I said, you go to it, you enjoy it. I'm not feeling well. I'm going to stay home. Pretty sure how that's how that happened.
It is.
Wasn't feeling great. I think I might have vomited while you were at the birthday party.
Yeah, I think you did. You told me.
Then you came home. Wasn't feeling well again. And I couldn't make it to the bathroom in time. And it was like a crime scene. All over the walls, all over the bathroom. And I just remember being so apologetic. Just being like, I'm so sorry that I just created this mess for you.
I had to get like this Swiffer. I got our Swiffer out with the wet Swiffer wipes, and I was like Swiffering the walls and everything
Yeah.
because it was everywhere. But also that was like a telling moment.
It was like,
We already
do
knew,
something more.
like me and his mom, I felt like already kind of had this terrifying inkling again that it was too coincidental. But seeing an adult who wasn't really sick, like flu sick, not be able to go from the couch to like the bathroom a few steps away and throwing up all over, like it was just like this really weird, like what is happening?
Dude, this is a part I can't remember quite well, but did my mom come over that night?
I don't know if she came over.
She was. I remember it was either the night before, or the night after, or the night of. She wanted to come over. She took our blood pressure machine out and was taking my blood pressure. She was asking how I was feeling inside, and I know this is more of a for a conversation with my mom, but I knew she knew.
She wanted you to go to the emergency room.
She knew.
She wanted you to go to the emergency room so they would do a CT on you.
So that is, for me, that is the pivot point for everything. That night where I painted the bathroom walls, that, okay, we need to do something. So my mom went with me to the ENT that week to make sure that I was speaking with clarity and communicating. And she mentioned to the doctor, Dr. Hesse, that we have a family history of VHL, which most doctors, as far as I know, understand what that is now. 15 years ago, there were still people that didn't know what it was. So she ordered an MRI immediately. That was on Monday. On Wednesday, I got the MRI that night. And this is another core memory. Wesley took me to go get the MRI. I remember filling out some quick paperwork at the counter. And it's like someone just pulled the rug out from under me, and I had to grab the counter and hold on. Because I looked down and it's like my head twisted. And I was like, whoa, what the is that? Anyway, we get the MRI, we get home.
Well, you had a lot of episodes like that leading up though, because that's what you kept thinking was vertigo.
I didn't like know I was gonna start.
But that's like that feeling of like things going upside down. You kept having that feeling like weeks.
Can you just grab me a hand towel or a roll of tissues? Or... Okay. It feels like in such this small span of less than a week, there's all these core things that I remember now. And the next part really sucked. It was literally the morning after. I can see it play in my head like a scene from a movie. It was the morning after I got the MRI. You were working from home downstairs. I just had a call with some colleagues of mine because we were prepping for a panel at a conference that I was going to be speaking at and moderating. And I was sitting in bed because I still wasn't feeling great. And I said, let's have this Zoom call. And it was with Heather, Luis, and Chris. And as soon as I hung up on that call, it was like right around 11 o'clock. I got a call from, and I could see the doctor's name on my phone because she was calling from her cell phone. And before she said anything, I knew. I'm like, no one's gonna call me directly from their cell phone in the morning to deliver good news. And she told me that I need to go to the ER, that there are 3 tumors, and that she's already called the neurosurgery team at Broward Health. And I remember just feeling so fucking alone because you were working. I was in the room by myself. I could hear that you were still on a call.
So, like, selfishly, like, I was upset you took that call without me, like, because I was like wanted to be there.
I think my next call was to my mom to calmly let her know what was going on. There was no immediate rush, but I said, can you please pack a bag and come over here? We have to go to the ER. I found this out after the surgery, but the neurosurgeons at Broward Health actually declined my case. I don't know why. Doesn't really matter at this point, but I'm so glad that they did, because Dr. Hesse called me back probably less than 30 minutes after I got off the phone with her, and she said, change of plans. You're now going to Miami, and you're going to go to the ER there, and you're going to say you're here to see Dr. Komatar. He's the best, and he's going to be taking care of you. Go there as soon as you can.
Like, I remember feeling like throughout this like whole week, it's like we only knew one more step of information. So like we knew there was, an MRI schedule. Then we knew, like, okay, you have to go to the ER, but we never knew truly, like, and that was kind of the terrifying part, is like we never truly knew for this time period what we were facing. So we didn't know. We obviously understood the severity. Like Dr. Hess, Hesse had already, before calling Paul, she already obviously had seen the scans and knew the severity of it and was reaching out preemptively to get things lined up before even calling Paul back. We understood that much, but the information was go to the ER. Period. And so we didn't know what we were facing, and
it was literally in that moment on that Thursday morning that life seemingly was going this way, and then it took a sharp left turn into the unknown. And you think back to what your brother went through, what your dad went through, that those bad thoughts enter your head that, oh, I'm going to be a burden to my husband, to my mom. I'm putting my mom through this for the 3rd time. That whatever I thought was going to happen in my life is, the dream is dead. So that was pivotal. We made our way to the ER. It's like, what do you remember? And it's all these key points. You fast forward to the ER, then you fast forward to them bringing you up to the neurology floor.
And now I can see myself sitting in the bed, really nice, kind nurse coming in, and it's like I can just quote her. Do you know why you're here? Well, I have brain tumors in my head. I don't know. I was told to come here. You're here because you're being prepped for emergency brain surgery tomorrow.
That was the first we'd heard it, right?
That was the first time we had any idea why we were even at the hospital. But there's something about hearing the emergency part that was terrified. My brother's tumors were found during a routine exam. There was at least some time to prepare mentally, physically, and get a plan together. Here, I felt like I was just being thrown into the lion's den and literally didn't know what was happening every single second. And I felt, even though I had you and my mom and our aunts there and the nursing staff, it suddenly felt like there was a boulder sitting on my chest. And I didn't know what to do. And through all this crazy that's happening here, like to continue answering that question, I took my own advice that I had been preaching for like the past year or so, to not put yourself on an island. And as much as all those other things are a core memory of that week, this one specifically is, I think, the sunlight peeking through the clouds. Because I remember you and my mom stepped out to get some food, and I said, I'm gonna sit here and record a video. This is what I want to put up because I'm taking my own advice. And I just asked for love, light, prayers, good thoughts, good energy to come my way, and I put it up. And it feels like almost instantly, in the next 12 hours, we were just inundated. And that, like, really helped. As overwhelming as it was, especially since I said, please direct all your questions to Wesley and follow him. You know, that's not something you handle well, and I think you handled it exceptionally well, to have your phone blow up and my mom's phone blow up.
We didn't even know you did this because we stepped out. What did we go do?
You went to get food.
Food, which also seemed pointless. Like little things like that during that moment, you know. What felt like, I guess, trauma was, you know, food is, you know, we kind of like had to tell ourselves to go eat because we didn't even know you posted that. So our phones were blowing up. And I was like,
and I know I've put it in writing, I've said it a few times on social media and stories, but it really, really made all the difference. Because what felt like being so alone, even with family nearby, and I can't speak for my mom or Wesley, but it really feels like you're insulated from everybody. And you're just in this quiet bubble dealing with this trauma and this drama. And
drama.
In those moments, in those hours, and everything leading up to the actual surgery, it just felt like everyone that we knew personally and that we knew casually, it literally just felt like they all had their hands on us. And I think that's what is super powerful. Those are all the good parts of technology and social media, and just being a phone call or a text message away from people. It really just felt like everyone was gathered around this, even if they weren't there physically. This is so gross. I can't even breathe.
Well, now you made me do it. It's so annoying. God, that's really hard for me to say. Like, I wasn't getting choked up until you said that. Like, how it felt like everybody was, God, I can't say it. Reaching out and putting like a hand on us. Anyway,
We can't get through the first question.
this is obviously a core memory of this moment for me. Is, you know, my phone blew up, and I'm not typically that person that I don't know. I'm more of the introvert of the two of us, and I don't do that well of keeping up with these types of messages, especially with that amount. It was like really overwhelming, but I was like, all right, I just got to play Paul.
You don't do well with getting bombarded.
And I had to play Paul, and I wanted to be like sincere about every single response I gave. Like, I did not want to give a candid response, even though like it was like hundreds of responses coming in. It was before the surgery, and Paul was semi-prepped, and you were in the bed, and I just sat next to him, and I read through, and I was like, oh, I don't know if you asked me to or what, but like I read through all the messages.
You asked me if I wanted to hear some of these messages, and I said yeah.
Because they were so nice, and more than just nice, but like, so I sat there and I read them. And I remember reading them to him, and I was kind of sitting in this position too. And I just was bawling straight tears from my face to the ground. Like, I thought there was a puddle under me. And we just sat in silence in this room, and I read all these comments to him while we waited for basically the team to bring him down to the surgery room. And I remember being like, I think you asked me to do it. Because I remember being like, why are you making me do this? And I was just like bawling in the best way possible. But like, and I meant it like in the best way possible. Like, why are you making me read these? I don't know. That's just how much it meant and how much it helped us in that moment. What fear did you carry that you never said out loud?
I think I've said this since the actual surgery, especially after the cancer diagnosis happened over a month after that. But in that moment, I don't know if I said that I'm scared that I'm gonna die, or that I'm scared that I'm not gonna be here anymore. I'm scared that I'm not gonna be here anymore. And if I am, I'm worried that I'm gonna become a massive burden to you and the family. What turned out to be harder than you expected?
What felt like a roller coaster of like emotions, because it was like a roller coaster of information. So you'd get some information, and then we'd have like a period where we would go back to like this unknown, and it was like, okay, we're in the clear for a little bit. Like, he made it through surgery, but now we have to get through these hurdles in the next so many hours to make sure his brain's okay. And then we get through that, and it's like, okay, now we got to make sure that the pressure is able to, like, he's able to recalibrate, his body's able to like recalibrate on its own with that brain fluid. And then it was just like, it's like every time you thought you could like catch your breath, there was another hurdle in front of us that we had to get through. And it was like these, I don't know, stop and go. And it was just like this roller coaster or yo-yoing feeling. And it was just constantly that wait, or that period to get through to the next point of catching our breath.
For me, I think it was everything post-surgery. It was the recovery, because trying to be a more patient person, but being in that ICU for a week and being poked and prodded every couple hours, not being able to sleep, having a tube coming out of my head and not being able to feel comfortable. It was just really uncomfortable. And then getting home was hard. Okay, we have 3 flights of stairs.
Oh God, yeah.
Being constantly surrounded by people is really difficult. Even if you're a social person or an extrovert, it's difficult.
Yeah, but I think what was
It's harder than
you're
I
a
thought.
social person, you're an extrovert, but you're also a very independent person. I think the independent Paul was at the whim of everyone else's help.
It was hard to be dependent on so
Yeah.
many people.
Yeah. Yeah, you just didn't have any independence anymore for a short period of time. But what turned out to be easier than you expected.
The brain surgery.
That's, yeah.
All I had to do is lay there.
No, remember what they said? You just go to sleep and you
You
wake
go
up.
you
Or
go
your
to
brother said
sleep,
that.
and then you wake up.
That's all you gotta do.
I didn't
You
have
just
to
gotta
help.
go. Yeah. It's kind of a funny concept. Like,
yeah.
you don't have to do anything.
Was there anything that turned out to be easier for you than you expected? Can I answer that for you?
Sure.
You're someone that can experience analysis paralysis or indecisiveness. But I know that, and I don't even know if I ever said this, but I was impressed with how quickly you snapped into, this is what has to happen. These are the decisions that need to get made. We're going to stay at this hotel. We're going to do this. Yeah, we're going to allow Mike to come down. You just
Wow.
felt very calm and organized, even if you weren't that below the surface. You stepped into a persona that isn't naturally you.
Your mom made that comment too, and I don't think it was really. I naturally took that role because it just felt like you said, I had no options. So
Yeah.
it was kind of like survival mode. And yes, can be an anxious person, and I can have trouble making decisions in our personal life. But
You knew it had to be done and you did it.
yeah.
Yeah.
In that moment, there was a sense of clarity. So those decisions to me were easy. It was whatever it meant, whatever it took the goal was to survive. So that was very clear. And so the decisions to get there were easy for me.
Yeah.
Not that I thought that consciously during the moment, but your mom said something similar too. I think they all thought maybe I was going to fall apart.
But you didn't. I mean, you had moments where it was okay, but ultimately, I think a lot of people in your position, I know my mom puts herself in this position where they feel like they have to be this solid rock and there's no room
Yeah.
for emotion. But I feel like you had a good balance of that. You communicated when you were tired or you were feeling something, but ultimately you were also a steady hand to grab onto, and you were present and supportive, and you were where you needed to be when you were needed. And I know my mom is exceptionally good at that, but it's also, to anyone out there, and we may be jumping ahead of ourselves in this first part, but you can be human and you can be a rock and support to someone at the same time. That means giving yourself the space to be emotional, to cry, to not hold back, and to truly like feel everything that you're feeling. You don't have to hold back to protect somebody else.
Right. Or pretend.
Yeah. Because we're going to get kicked out of our hotel room in a moment.
Real quick, but just to clarify, before you said I let Mike come or something like that, I was like, well, my family doesn't live local. So the first person that could get down the fastest and was able to was Mike. And I think that also helped. Well, I don't think. I know it also gave me tremendous amount of strength.
You had your emotional support person with you.
But I mean, you're saying these things about how I handled things.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that had to do with him being able to be there. And my family obviously was, and the rest that couldn't be there physically were like in constant communication and constant touch. Like it felt like they were all there with me.
To follow that thread before we wrap up this first part, angels are real, and they are often in the form of the people in our lives. Your sister, Kyle and Augie, with no questions asked, jumping on a plane. Mike jumping on a plane.
Your brother wanted to jump on a
My
plane.
brother wanting to jump on a plane. Our dear friends, Javier and Wallace, swooping in to take care of our boys.
Yeah. At a drop of a hat. They.
My mom, my family. Like, these Filipinos that just teleport and they're there.
With food.
Friends lying that they were in town, but really they just came in to see you. So that you didn't feel bad or guilty. So look for and acknowledge the angels in your life and the people that care about you and the people that swoop in without even asking. But that was our part 1 of looking back. We're going to share some perspective shifts.
What's that book called? Chicken Soup for the Soul? I was thinking like Homemade Ranch for the Soul, because when Amber and Corey brought their homemade ranch.
Perspective shifts that we've had, advice for spouses or caregivers or family members, advice for people who are the patient, or how you deal with things like this as a couple and as a family, and any final thoughts that we have. But this is the first part. I hate when people break stuff up into different parts, but this was a lot longer and a lot more tissues and crying than I thought. So hang tight.
You need to get him some treats.
I'm really proud and grateful that you did that. How did you feel about that?
What?
Well, I feel like you flipped the switch on.
I mean, I'll never watch this probably.
You might never watch it, but I think some of these things have been unsaid, and it's helping unpack some things. And I hope it's cathartic and therapeutic.
Yeah, no, this is nice. This is nice. I just don't like that I have to physically be on the camera. I wish I could just be.
You have an eyelash, make a wish.
I wish I could physically not be on camera.
You can't wish. It's not a real wish.
Right.
Let's get out of here.